Evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of TXR. Always a great place to kick back, relax on a Sunday night, and listen to a gaming discussion with some really passionate gamers here. This is your host, Invader, and I'm really pumped to get into tonight's topics. Definitely lots to talk about in the gaming industry, to say the least. But first, definitely share this out, guys, and let your friends know about the best Sunday night show that is live right now. So get the word out about TXR. Now, let's introduce the Emerald Crew. Tim Dog Buddy, how you been since we last chatted?
Good, good. Happy to be here. Another Sunday, another week of video game talk, Xbox talk. Happy to be here. Happy to have panels here, and just ready to go. Ready to talk.
Right. Okay, Megatron, how's things at on the east side?
Things are good. Things are good, man. Still playing a little Gears, trying to play a little Gears while I'm playing or talking with you guys, and business as usual, I guess. Ready to talk some games.
Indeed. Shock,
Oh
Mr.
man,
Shockley, how's your week been, bud?
pretty good. Ran some multiplayer with my friends on Gears. That was pretty fun getting back into that, and just trying to finish the campaign. I'm almost there, like last chapter.
All right. Sounds like a pretty productive week for you. And Centurion, you ready to talk gaming news, my friend?
Oh yeah, always ready to talk gaming. You know how it is. So many games, so little time.
Yeah, I definitely know how that feels. And hey, we already got some people popping in here. Peter Sark, how you doing, bud? Matt Jones, thanks for stopping in, bud. And we got the indie gamer here. Lots of people popping up already. Michael Monkey Punch, all kinds of very cool people here. All right, fellas, let's start off and talk about the recent game releases. We've definitely got some big names hitting this week. Borderlands 3. Lots of people talking about this game. Has anybody here in the panel picked it up?
I did.
All right, Centurion. How far are you into it? How is it going so far? How are you finding it?
I'm gonna be upfront. So I picked the game up Thursday night and never got a chance to opening it. Friday morning, I had a message from dealer on my phone warning me that the game was having huge instability issues. And I actually kind of held off from opening it until Friday night when dealer kind of actually hit me up and showed me a way of actually stabilizing the game by lowering down the field of view from the default settings down to a 70, and it actually did stabilize the game. I'm not having lag issues like everybody else or huge frame rate drops. I'm even running it on resolution mode.
And you're running PC, by the way, right? Real quick to let people know. Is that
No, I'm on Xbox One X.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know they had those settings.
Yeah, they're starting to put more settings like that in these games. I didn't even know it was there until dealer pointed it out to me. And so I haven't had, like, I saw videos on Twitter from people that had almost a full second of lag from the moment they would push the joystick over to the moment the character would actually start moving. I mean, it was, everybody's talking about Stadia. I think Stadia had better lag times than that. And it was, Stadia, you had to slow the image down. These guys were sitting on their couch, just filming it and putting it on Twitter. And I mean, it was asinine. So, but I haven't had issues on that scale. You could tell that there is a little bit of instability. Like when you go into the menu, you just can't flip through the menu like crazy. You actually have to wait, flip to one page, wait a second, flip to the next page. Otherwise, if you go too quickly, it does lag behind. So there's definitely some patch issues that they're going to have to address. But the cell shading, it looks amazing on resolution mode. I mean, it looks very, very clean.
All right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about this game recently it seems there's been some mixed reaction to it, which is unfortunate because it seemed like a pretty fun game from the trailers and, hopefully they get the quirks fixed quite quickly because you know
I'm not trying. I just want. It came to mind. One thing that does kind of like irk me on this whole situation with Borderlands 3 is it's got the same score as Gears 5, even though of all those issues. And you're just like, what is going on right now? So you don't want to be the guy wearing a tinfoil hat screaming double standard, but if you're going to put a game that has that many instability issues coming out on launch day in the same score group as Gears 5, something's up.
Yeah. That's why I don't rely on those scores. I mean, they're kind of fun to play with, and kind of, go back and forth with the community with, but that's something I really don't kind of rely on.
I don't base anything on scores. If you guys told me right now that a game was absolutely amazing, I would believe you hands down over any score.
So as far as the performance and everything that's been happening, it's not like you're able to still play the game. It's just kind of the quirks that you just want them to.
No, yeah, I haven't had any.
Okay.
I haven't had anything game breaking. Heck, you could kind of see how they're evolving the series. They kind of went Remedy on us. In previous iterations, you know how Lilith, the chick that's always in your head in every game, that in the first game she helped you find Pandora. They actually went Remedy on us. She's an actual filmed character. She has a computer character, but like during those moments where she's in your head and you're the only one that can see her, it's an actual person that's been filmed.
Cool. Wow. The only thing that I saw that was the most outstanding, that would bother me the most, is the game save. I heard there was issues with that. Have you had that experience at all, or just
no? But
no,
there was one issue I read. I haven't played co-op with nobody yet, but say you're like 3 hours ahead of me and you've done all these missions. The minute I join your game on my screen, I am going to hear the audio for every single one of those missions almost at once. So there's definitely some craziness when it comes to the co-op.
Actually trying to take advantage of all the the bad stuff, and just didn't even. I wanted to pick the game up, but then I just kind of defaulted to Gears. So I use it. Eventually, I am going to definitely get the game. I was looking forward to it. But,
everybody I've talked to says all they had to do is delay this game probably for a month, and none of these issues would probably even exist. That's why I said last night on Xbox show that these developers should actually, at least on the Xbox side of things, take advantage of the preview program that's on the Xbox and just go to the guys who are part of the what's the program where you guys get to play with like the UI interface, test the new well, that's the preview, but like the new where you get like the Insider Xbox program. They could probably go to those guys who are probably part of the Insider Xbox program saying, hey, we want to give you limited access to the game, temporary, because we want to see how it functions in the wild. So that way they can get these instability issues ironed out before they have a full-blown launch.
Right.
I wonder if they would have delayed it a month, though. What other games they would be competing with? Like, I don't have the list of all the games that are coming out now, but you kind of think that had something to do with it.
Well,
they probably wanted to hit this. Yeah, I think
Destiny and COD, Destiny and Call of Duty are next month. I know for sure. So that'd be one thing I'd shoot on the foot. But I remember when everybody was saying that, Gears 5 is going to release around Borderlands 3, and it's going to be nothing because everybody's going to be on Borderlands 3. And I mean, it's like crickets over at Borderlands.
Oh, man.
Well, one's super cheap to get into, one's $60. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. Do we have any NHL fans here? NHL 20's finally out. Do we have any hockey fans on the panel?
Not really. I mean, I usually buy the NHL the series, but it got kind of low ratings, so I don't know if something's up or if it was just a rehash. But I saw it at 77 Metacritic, so I kind of held off on that one, and I held off on Borderlands because obviously, Gears is I'm trying to finish the game, which is it's a challenge, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm tempted to grab it because one of my Maple Leafs are on the cover. Austin Matthews there. I'm a Leafs fan. Yeah, I know it's been a long drought, but hey, always hopeful. What can I say?
Yeah, I
Uh,
should try him out. I'm a Kings fan, but I don't think I used to play the NHL hits back in the day. It was like the Blitz version
Yeah,
of hockey, and that was so
mhm.
much fun. But yeah, I should try
I
it out.
like
Yeah,
that.
modern ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I might have to pick this one up, but we'll see. And also, interesting enough, we have a lot of talk about this game, Greedfall, the new open world RPG. Anybody planning on picking that up?
I think I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
grab that. I'm
eventually.
going to grab that soon. I heard a lot of great things about that
Yeah,
game.
I heard good things about it. It's I remember seeing the I think they showed that off on an Inside Xbox thing. So and it seems like it's pretty popular. It's the most purchased game I believe on Steam right now. I think it beat out Gears. So it's popular. So I'm definitely going to pick it up in the meantime. Once I finish these games and catch up a little. Definitely have my eyes out on that.
Absolutely. Everyone's absolutely right here. There's a lot of games out. There's a lot to talk about, but yeah, that one definitely caught my eye just because it's getting like a lot of praise across the board right now for its RPG elements, open world. It just seems like a different kind of game. Looks a lot of fun. So definitely something to keep an
Right.
eye out on. All right, guys. On that note, moving along, a few days ago, Xbox's Phil Spencer and Bungie's Pete Parsons were sitting playing Destiny 2 together over a
Get
live
out.
stream. Yeah, I know, right, Megatron? I know. And during that stream, Phil dropped a very subtle bit of information saying that he finally played the first games on the Xbox Scarlett earlier this week. Now, while he didn't mention any specifications for the console, it is encouraging that things are seemingly moving well for the Scarlett. Panel obviously is just a small remark about the system, but what games, I wonder, could he possibly be playing early for it? Any first party showcases, do you think?
Definitely Gears. I know. I wouldn't put that. That's probably first on the list. I think maybe Destiny,
Right.
right there.
But that's definitely for sure for him, knowing Phil.
Hmm.
I don't understand they make those comments though. When Phil made that comment, and he also dropped another tease on it. I don't know if that's meant that they're playing on a dev kit or if they're playing on a simulated, PC that's going to emulate what supposedly Scarlett's going to do. So it was
Mhm.
kind of I would love to ask Phil for more clarification on that, but yeah, I don't know what that entails. Is he playing PC dev kit? But obviously he has something that's closely regarded to it, and he seems like he was excited with it. So I'm sure Gears was one of the showcases, and possibly maybe he had a newer build or some type of exclusive build with some ray tracing and stuff like that involved. So it's interesting to hear that he's playing that. I don't even think that they have the specs finalized. So, like I said, I don't know how to take what he said and I'll really try and understand or what's what. But obviously, he knows more than us, and he could probably give us that answer. But we're getting close, I guess. So
Mm.
we're getting to the point where these the talk is now not talk; it's actually there. So fun stuff.
Yeah, and it's encouraging. Yeah, in a way it's kind of vague. It's a small comment, but it is encouraging to see it like it's coming further along. And who knows, I would hope that since Halo Infinite's supposed to be a launch title, maybe that could be the game that he's playing. Maybe that game's come along pretty well as well. who knows? Yeah, maybe they could be testing Gears out on it. Destiny, for all we know. Obviously, it's interesting seeing Bungie and Xbox being so buddy buddy now too. Being on with Phil being on a stream together with Bungie, playing Destiny 2.
I can't
The
help
dream
but
is the dream is
I
the
can't
dream
help
is
but
alive, Mega.
chuckle. I can't help
Megatron
but-
being very, very excited like a little schoolgirl.
on a windy day, short dress, little Destiny undies on.
Yeah, no,
We'll see.
yeah, no, that's I found that very interesting as well. But it is a very small remark, but still, it's cool that it seems like the hardware is getting finalized, and they're working out the kinks from the sounds of it. Centurion, do you have anything to add to this? Is this a good sign that Xbox Scarlett's moving along well, that they're finalizing things?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's been messing around with xCloud on his own private server, so I'm pretty sure he's got his own Xbox Scarlett kind of running around hidden somewhere.
Yeah, he
That is
definitely got
true.
that right. Yeah, he's definitely been messing around with xCloud. It's going to be the next big thing in the coming months. Shock, my buddy. What's your take on this? Do you think that Phil's comments are pretty positive moving forward for Xbox Scarlett?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it'd be exciting to see, especially all the current games have the boost that they'll get on the next Scarlet, and I'm really actually interested to see how they maybe off topic there with Halo that's supposed to launch with it. I guess it's supposed to still launch on Xbox One base consoles. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a difference in the game between the two. But
well, we'll see in the long run if they stick to that. But I mean, for all we know, that they could change that. But hey, you know what? It's interesting that they're talking about this still very early on. But we'll be getting more details, I'm assuming, in the coming months. So we'll see what happens. But we'll move on to our next topic, guys. And it seems as if Gears 5 has already hit a huge milestone in just under a week. With some new data announced, Gears 5 has unseated Fortnite as the most played game over Xbox Live. And this is a pretty big deal, as this is the first time that Fortnite has slipped from the top spot since last summer. That's a pretty long time to hold the crown. Now, fellas, what's your take on this? Do you think that Game Pass played a huge role in this? And do you think that it'll hold the top spot for next week?
It definitely played a huge role in it, and that's what great games do. It's just on to the next. Gears is a phenomenal game, and it shows. A lot of people were downing Rod and his decisions on making. You're not showing too much of the campaign, but I mean, look what we got now. It just kind of speaks for itself. I think only time will tell if it'll dethrone Fortnite for I don't remember how long, but still, it's a good game, man. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely an interesting game. There's been games like Black Ops 4 and Red Dead 2 that have come out with online components, obviously, but they couldn't do what Gears did, and those are massive, massive titles alone. So, I mean, for Gears 5 to do this, that's a pretty big install base. I mean, Gears is also on Steam as well, not just on Xbox and PC. It has a very large base to pull from, and with Game Pass, it's just amazing the amount of a player base that it has to draw from.
Yeah, I think tomorrow or this week you're going to get some official numbers or some officials in regards to what this game has done. I see some people trying to downplay it, trying to say this and that, but I can tell you this much: I know it's done excellent. They are very happy. I think it did better, or I'm pretty sure it did better than Forza Horizon 4, which was 2 million players in a week. So if you're above that, that's pretty impressive. I'm thinking that there are around 3 million players for the week. I think that you're probably going to get some PR, most definitely this week, possibly tomorrow around 10 a.m. Usually they used to kick off the week, and they usually either it's going to be um, 7 a.m. Pacific, or sometimes they go 6 a.m. Real early, so it could be 6 a.m. Eastern. So it depends, but I do think that they're going to have some PR this week, so keep an eye on that. The game is it's a big success. They put a lot into it, a lot of marketing. This game was marketed probably more than any other game other than Halo and Halo 5. And, you got to do that type of stuff. They got to talk about their Game Pass numbers. I'm hoping that we can get some concrete numbers because from what I heard that the Game Pass numbers really took a big spike, upwards obviously. So a lot of people are playing this game, and that's what Microsoft wants. They don't really care if they say it's not like the old days where they say, I bought the physical. If you're buying it on Game Pass and you're subscribed to their service, guess what? They're going to say, okay, enjoy. It's not like it's a bad thing. And for consumers and players and gamers, it's a great thing. I mean, sometimes you can't afford a game. This makes it where you can always play and afford it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Let's see here. Mr. Shockley. Do you think Gears 5 will hold on to top spot going into next week, or will the free to play game come back?
I think I noticed that it drop already? Didn't Borderlands already take it? From what
Yeah,
I've
but I
seen
think
posted,
Borderlands is number one now.
yeah, and I think Gears dropped down to past some of the free to play games. But I think Rand, I remember him saying that Coalition said they had got 3 times the amount of, I guess, users playing the game than what they expected. So that probably has something to do with the server issues. But
even if it got, even if it is bouncing around right now, it still hit the top, which is something other games haven't been able to do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, as I said, Fortnite has been holding the top spot since, for about a year, if not more. And it's crazy the amount of weight that game holds. Free to play obviously has a lot to do with it. Very popular game. And Gears is just like knocking it out of the ballpark right now. Obviously, Game Pass helps a ton, but I don't know. Will it sustain itself? Will the numbers keep? Will it be regular numbers? We'll see what happens there. Centurion, do you think we'll see Gears hold its numbers?
I'm almost inclined to say that it's probably going to drop down, and it has nothing to do with it being a horrible game.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the comment I'm about to make, Fortnite is a great game. It's a very popular game, but it happens to be extremely popular with the younger generation. And Gears, I'm not saying that there's probably younger people that do play it, but Gears has been around for a very long time. The franchise probably has an older generation of gamer that enjoys it. And, most of the older generation, we all got jobs, we all got responsibilities. So we're not going to be able to play it as much. So I do definitely see Fortnite rising back up because everybody and their grandmother wanted to be there for the Gears launch. And now everybody's going to go back to their normal lives, regretfully.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I can see the scenario where, people play Gears for, a couple of weeks, depending, go through the campaign, multiplayer, horde, so on. And then once they got their fix, they'll go back to their regular games like Fortnite, for example, as you said. But that's not to say that Gears won't hold solid numbers for the multiplayer. They still
they're definitely going to hold some solid numbers. Come on, can you name a game that has that much multiplayer, that much variety in multiplayer? Come on, you
Maybe
can
that
only.
Dave Batista skin that just dropped today will give it.
Oh
a
yeah,
I gotta check that out.
makes,
Actually, a Marcus skin, you won't find it as a character.
makes you want to run around screaming, "Give me what I want."
Everybody's
Yeah.
opinion, like, what do you think the biggest draw was? You think it was the campaign, or you think it was the multiplayer, or a little of both? To me, it was
Campaign.
both.
Ca-
The campaign, yeah.
Honestly, I know a lot of people play it for like competitive multiplayer and horde. I'm gonna cheat a bit. I'm gonna say like the entire package, but campaign like automatically comes to mind. Gears
Mhm.
has always had a solid co-op campaign, and I just
Yeah, and I think yeah, I think that that's what's gonna kind of give this longevity is the campaign is very strong. I know for a fact that Gears 5 numbers absolutely trounced Gears 4. That could just tell you all you need to know about Gears 4. It didn't really sell what they expected. They didn't even have PR for it. But this is a move in the right direction. It's a big win for Xbox Game Studios. I do think it's going to withstand. I think it's going to probably hit 10 million players, just like Forza Horizon 4. It's kind of on that same trajectory, maybe even a little faster. But yeah, they got their win. They got their Xbox fans have been, wanting this type of game for a long time, and we've got it. And I mean, I'm still in the middle of playing it. Some other people are playing it too on the panel. Some finished it. But this is what we were all asking for, and we got it. So I don't think that there's really much to be negative about it. I see people trying to say, it's dropping off or bad Steam numbers, but the fact of the matter is that
The game is phenomenal.
the game is
That's what
phenomenal, exactly, and I think that that's gonna it's gonna prove itself out. Just like when we get the information this week, it's just gonna give it some validation. This game was a big game for Microsoft, and it's something that Xbox needed in the worst way. I can only imagine what Halo Infinite is going to do. I mean, I'm thinking you're talking 5 million players in a week, because obviously that's what they go by. They don't do the physical
Plus,
sales
it's launching
anymore, and
on
things have
PC day
changed.
one.
Right. Plus, it's PC. I can see Halo really. Ratcheting things up. Plus, also the big winner here too is, as I alluded to before, is Game Pass. Game Pass now has become more recognizable, and I'm hoping that Microsoft really starts talking up the numbers and talking about how many people there are, because people kind of flock to what's popular, and if they hear that Game Pass is popular or their service is popular, people will buy into it. I mean, right now there's still many parents that don't know what Game Pass is, or I think most gamers do, but I think that there's still a lot of people that don't know about it, and the awareness it should be a little bit more than it is. But that's for another debate.
yeah.
I'm glad you
Peter
brought up
said,
PR. You can't go anywhere right now without seeing a commercial for Gears 5 right now, which is totally.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's
We
awesome.
can,
Like we were out eating lunch today,
yeah.
and there was a football game on, and all of a sudden a Gears 5 commercial's on.
nice.
Yeah, we can shut that narrative up. That so many people were saying, they don't go hard with their games and they don't market them. Listen, they're not going to market Crackdown 3 when they know it's bullshit. They knew that the game wasn't what they envisioned it. They knew it was kind of, let's be honest, a failure, and they conveyed it because they didn't talk about it. Even Forza Horizon 3, you look at that as 4, they didn't have this type of marketing. But they knew that this is their game. They knew that this is their, franchise, and they knew that you're going to see this type of marketing, even to a bigger extent, even with Halo. That is their bread and butter. That is what you're going to see shit out. So the narrative that they're not marketing anymore, or they gave up, pretty much thrown out with this whole thing. You've seen it in movie theaters. You've seen it all over the place. TV, all over the place. You know what I mean? And you're still seeing it. So kudos to Mr. Greenberg and marketing over there. They really did a great job here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've definitely been noticing it in different advertisements like you guys. And also, the Game Pass subscription obviously helps, and just being able to get more people to be able to play it and the ease of just downloading it, being able to subscribe to the service. It's a big home run, and it really gets people to try out your games, even if they don't end up liking it, they still play it, right? They still get to test it out for a bit, and that's something. Whereas some people might be turned off for buying it for like 60, $70. So, that's
I have
good.
yet, by the way, to even beat the game. I'm stuck on Act 2, Chapter 4. And I don't know, I made the decision to try to beat it on Insane, and it's like tough as nails
You're
now.
insane, Mr. Insane.
Yeah, I see Peter Starks in the chat says that he's playing Gears for the campaign and is hoping that there's going to be DLC missions, which would be cool. They've only done that one time, I think, with the DLC, and I think it was the Gears 2 or 3.
No, they've done it for 3 too. I think.
Yeah, they did for 2 and 3. They put the deleted scene with Marcus and Dom in the second one.
Oh yeah, and then they had one with General Rom, I think, in Gears 3. That was cool. That was actually pretty cool, but I think it ended too short.
That was the one with the smoking, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Mr. Cigar, they're Barrack. The good old days. All right, guys, moving along here. Onto some pretty cool news, actually. And we've got the latest Sea of Thieves update. And, man, it's hard to believe that this game is still seeing significant updates after a year or over a year out now. And, man, it's really setting its sails. The Smugglers Fortune update adds new voyages to complete, the Pirates Emporium, which is a new premium store for cosmetics, such as new emotes, and now finally pets. They've been talking about pets for a while, and we finally get to have a pet monkey, pet cat, and so on. There's also new ship libraries available, including a Banjo-Kazooie inspired one. Man, there's a lot of Banjo these days. And there's also new skeletons to hunt down for coins that can be spent at the new stores. So, guys, this is a pretty big update. Do any of you guys like or are interested in trying this out now that they've added it in?
I want to try it. Unfortunately, I'm about that Gears life right now. I actually love Sea of Thieves. It's one of my new favorite IPs this gen. But I haven't had the time to really kind of delve deep into that, man. I don't know. It's great that they're still supporting the game. But I really need to take some time to really get into it. The last time I played Sea of Thieves actually was with you and Dealer, I think. That's how long it's been. But it's a great game. Like that, I mean, it's a great game. I love the sense of adventure. And even when I'm playing by myself, it's a great game. I think they did a hell of a job there at Rare with that. But I do want to try it, but right now it's just focused on Gears, unfortunately. So
yeah, you know what? Last time I played it too was a couple of months back with you and Dealer Megatron, and we had a pretty good time. Even after you left, me and Dealer were just kind of screwing around, and and actually, we were just we were trying to take like a whole bunch of these plants or something, these crates full of plants to somebody, and it just turns into a little adventure in itself, but I don't know. Like, I definitely want to get back into it. Maybe we can get the TXR crew involved again. Like, it would be cool to jump in again and sail the high seas. Other panel members, how do you guys feel about this update? Are any of you guys Sea of Thieves fans?
I love Sea of Thieves. It's one of the few games that my wife will actually play with me.
Nice.
Dude,
Cool.
I never saw that coming. Like, all right, I was a day one adopter for Sea of Thieves. I paid $60 for that game physically the day it came out because I wanted to support Rare. And I ended up getting the game digitally before it came to Game Pass because my wife actually enjoyed playing it and I wanted us to play together. So I bought it digitally, so that way I did game share with her console. And so yeah, me and her have played that game regularly. We have a great time playing it. I never thought in 100 years that my wife would ever be on that game with me, so I get excited every time she wants to play with me. Every time there's an update, we always want to kind of go out and see the new thing that's coming out. And I'll be truthful, I'm even kind of excited for the pets, man. I want to have like a little companion buddy kind of running around with me.
Well,
There
yeah.
you go.
I don't know if anybody noticed in the trailers, but you can actually shoot the pets from the looks of it out the cannons.
Oh God.
Yeah, they did something where they shot a pet monkey out a cannon. It seemed pretty cruel. I was actually kind of surprised that they allowed that in the game, but
you know, the one thing I want to point out though is not to sound like that guy, but you know, we'll use God of War for example. Sony is like, thanks for your $60, go play that game, and that's all you get. Sea of Thieves, whether you've had it on Game Pass for $1 or you bought it day one for $60, they're still supporting that game, creating content and events that draw you in. You know, that's got to be said for something, especially when it comes to a title that basically everybody's like, oh yeah, it's Sea of Thieves. Like I could have sworn there's somebody the other day on Twitter that tried to say that nobody was on Sea of Thieves because the person that was looking for people was on PC. And it's like, yeah, you can't find nobody because none of the people that play on console have their crossplay turned on.
Yeah.
Well, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead, Tim.
No, I just think just to you know piggyback on what he's saying. You know, I had this conversation with somebody, and you know, Microsoft really doesn't get the credit it deserves in this area. Not only you know does Gears have a AAA campaign, but it has 5, not just one tactical mode. Mode. Not what other console maker only have a game that's like from their first party that's you know a game like Sea of Thieves, or even you look at Sea of Thieves and they're constantly updating it. I guess you could say Gran Turismo, but you know again that was lacking in single player. With Xbox, it seems like you get the you know what they're pushing to for is you get the whole package. You get multiplayer, you're going to get single player, you're going to get multiplayer and single player games, and you're going to get games like this, games as a service that they just keep adding and adding and adding. And you know, kudos to Rare. I'm sure they're close to 10 million players themselves. Sea of Thieves is still being played to this day. It's still being streamed. And yeah, it's a great thing that they have these games that you know you could just keep on going back to. I'm gonna probably go back to it and try the pets and play it, but you know it's great to always have that always there, especially at times when there's you know down times or there's not many games coming out. You could always go back to Sea of Thieves and play with your friends.
Yep, most definitely.
Yeah, and Sea of Thieves, you know, it's such an interesting case because it was one of the first, if not the first, game, a Microsoft game in for Game Pass, for example, that was allowed at launch, and it was one of those games that it was getting a lot of publicity over Twitch because people are streaming it, and even before it was coming out for tests, and it was such a unique game for what it was. And when it launched, everyone was talking about how, while they were enjoying the experience, at the same time, they wanted more content. And I'll admit, I was one of those people. I'm a huge Rare fan. I wanted to support Rare. I got the game physical copy. I had it pre-ordered for, well, a very long time over Amazon. And when I got it, I was like, well, you know, I wish there was more here, but I really want to support it. And you know, further down the line, they've been adding and adding and adding, and occasionally I keep coming back. And it's such a unique case where it has such a hardcore, dedicated fan base to it. Now I see people playing Sea of Thieves to this day on my over Xbox Live. I know fans of the show like Siberia; he's really into it. There's a few others. What's his name? Crazy Juan. Like, there's a whole bunch of people that are just dedicated that I see playing this game daily, if not every other day. Like, it's great to see Rare and Microsoft supporting this game because I still think that there's a lot to this game that they can do with it. Shockley, have you are you interested in Sea of Thieves at all? Going back into the updates?
I haven't gone back to check it out, but I do find that when you play with all Brits, it's way more fun. Just because you get British humor with the pirates and we're being the, doing the pirating. I usually use it to test out the HDR on my TV.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it is an HDR showcase. It's a good point. One of the best looking. If you really do want to showcase or test your HDR, I would say Sea of Thieves is one of the top games, especially with the reds and the vibrant colors. My OLED, it's pretty impressive. Like I see, people talk and kind of make fun of the game or the graphic style, but that game is honestly a gorgeous game. When you're playing it the right way.
Let's not forget the sound. There were no slouch with the audio setup. I don't know what they're using. I'm not like a tech guy, but when I'm getting these ship battles and those cannonballs are whizzing by, and then you hear the ocean, and whether it's the Kraken or the guns that are going off when you're fighting on the ship, that sounds excellent to me. Like that that pulls me in. It really pulls me in. So they did a hell of a job with that too.
Yeah, well, it's such an experience-based game too because you're out in the water and then you're caught in a storm. Suddenly, your compass goes haywire. The waves are just going crazy.
That's what's so great about it. I swear, it is. I mean, it can go from
it's
just
an underrated
calm.
Game.
It can go from calm to like extreme in a matter of seconds. It gets really tense if you got. You grab a couple of chests, a couple of skulls. And then you start to realize what you have, and you're worrying about if you're going to get I guess attacked. The game is phenomenal, man. I really don't think it gets its praise.
I think the loud majority, Mega, it definitely, you hear them making fun of the game and this and that, but the reality is that you have people like yourself. A lot of kids play the game. There's still kids that are playing the game. A lot of women like to play the game. So it appeals to, I think, a variety of gamers. And overall, though, I think that it's a well appreciated game. I just think that when you hear the loud majority, the loud minority, I guess, of what you call Twitter, and people make fun of it. You think it might not, be doing as well, but the game is doing amazing.
Yes, there's no elite in the chat said he loves just sailing around, and that's cool too. I've done that before. And then you got the original Next Level Gaming best water effects, which a ton of people have said. But yeah, the game's phenomenal, man.
Hands down, best water effects.
Oh yeah,
what do you think that they will do with this game though? Like, are they going to continue chat as well? You can chime in, panel. What I asked this question to everyone. What do you think the future is for Sea of Thieves? Is there an end, or is this a game that they're gonna support 5 years down the road? Originally, I remember when they had said that in 2017 when it came out that they were looking to support this game for over 3 years, and in 2020, I guess that we'll be getting to that point. Do you think that there's an end to this, or do you think that they're going to move on, or you think that they're still going to just keep adding and adding and adding?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I think, eventually they're going to have to move on to something else. But
it sounds like, as long as the people are there, how can they not support? How can it end? All you got to do is really kind of keep adding to the different, the
Well,
story.
what I'm saying, like, are they gonna have these? They have these weekly things that you have.
Hmm.
Are they
Hmm.
gonna have? Are they gonna have updates? Like you look at the anniversary update. That was a huge update.
Yeah.
The update that they just had now with the pets. That was long rumored. I don't. Right now, I think pretty much they got everything that they've said that they wanted to do. They got Arena. Which I thought would have been more popular, but they even got the stories that the single player, if you wanted to play, even though it's a multiplayer game by nature. Uh, like I want if there's a next.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because they've pretty much gone over the majority of what they've promised, if I'm not mistaken, because they've added a whole bunch
Yeah,
of
they've added everything.
yeah, I can't I'm not 100% sure what else they have planned in the pipeline, but a lot of the stuff they've delivered on already. So, I mean, besides maybe some people being kept on for maintenance, like I just don't know if they have any other like big updates or expansions to announce for it because they haven't really hinted
Right.
at anything as far as I know. Like, don't get me wrong, like guys in the chat, panel members, I would love to see it being continued on and to be supported by Rare and Microsoft with future like updates. But it's just with how everything goes in the industry, I just think that eventually the majority of these teams are going to move on to something else.
Right.
But
But how much
that,
manpower do you need? I mean, the original Next Level Gaming says they will keep adding and doing things until the player numbers start dropping significantly, which is true. I have heard that they wanted to have some shorter quests. One of the knocks or one of the things that was, being pushed at Rare was, they need to do things in under 45 minutes, like some quests under 45 minutes, because when you do play Sea of Thieves, it's usually a 2 or 3 hour affair. So I can think that they could have maybe some shorter tasks or stuff like that. But yeah, if the numbers are still there and supporting it, they could have a small team around the game to just keep adding and keeping everything, afloat. But the fact is though that Rare is definitely working on either one or two IPs. So they're almost up to 300 people, 255 on LinkedIn. This
mhm.
is a studio that, uh, 2017 was at 100 developers. Now it's almost triple in size. One game's definitely in the works, but I wonder if they're maybe working on two. Maybe they're working on a banjo and something else. That'd be really good, I think.
Well, that'd be awesome. I just, who knows what they're working on? They've been pretty secretive about what they're doing. I mean, personally, I would love to see them be that studio that's supposedly working on Perfect Dark, but I don't know. I don't know if they have it in them to do it. I think their focus
Mm-hmm.
is on more new stuff. They seem to be focused on new IP from what Duncan has said, the head of the studio. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see, fellas. See
I
if
hope
these.
it never ends. When I think of Sea of Thieves, I think of something like Minecraft, a world, world building, and you just keep adding to it, and the story, the lore, different things. There's so much. The possibilities are endless with this game. And actually, one of my goals for 2019 was to become Pirate Legend. I'm so far from that right now. So far from that right now, but
You
I
got
would
to.
love to be able to get that before 2020 rolls
That's
around.
not
Well,
Yeah, I
not
see
easy.
2.0. I see like the 2.0 updates. I see graphic enhancements, maybe ray tracing. This is, I mean, as long as the community is there and they keep supporting the game and it grows, and I hope it never ends. So
mhm.
it's a great
Yeah,
game.
it's great that Xbox is really
Hmm.
supporting their games and supporting the content. There's a lot of knocks on Xbox from here and there. Everyone's a Monday morning quarterback when it comes to Xbox,
Hmm.
but they don't get the credit that they deserve sometimes, especially with what they provide multiplayer wise. Games like Sea of Thieves. Just nobody else is really doing that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And more to come. You know what I mean? So You know, just glad that we can appreciate something that deserves to be kind of praised.
Absolutely. All right. Welcome to the show, the Don. Welcome, Don. How you doing, buddy?
The Dawn.
Yeah. Yeah, good guy right there. Shizno Elite, happy to see you in the chat. Definitely seeing some good conversations happening here. NLG Gaming, love seeing you here. We got some other people who popped in here midway through the show. Oh, speaking of which, Midway 7 Monster, thanks for stopping by. Seeing a lot of ads on NFL games. I'm assuming that's for Gears 5. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And Indie Gamers being very chatty in the chat, of course. Nice to see you, Indy. But moving on, fellas, and again, I hope that Sea of Thieves does get continued on with further updates. A few days ago, Remedy announced post-launch content for their recently released game Control. They announced a new photo mode, a new game with expeditions, a new game mode. But what caught most people's eyes was the expansion pass. In early 2020, the Foundation expansion will be available, but expansion number 2 is to be released in mid-2020, and it's labeled AWE, or Ah, and features the cover of cult classic Alan Wake. Guys, what do you make of this? Are we going to see the world of Alan Wake return with this DLC for Control?
I need to hop in real quick. Has anybody played Control other than me?
I haven't.
I haven't had the chance to pick it up just because of the game backlog.
I haven't. I have a game. I haven't been playing it though.
I
definitely am going to play.
I want to at least dial it back. The AWE does not stand for Alan Wake. It stands for Altered World Event.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, something happened that altered the world around them. They have in the games you have what are known as objects of power that give you, powers beyond a normal human. You also have objects that basically alter the world around them, an AWE. And the funny part is when you play the game, Alan Wake is already in it. He's not there in character, but you got to remember, This is the way Remedy wants their games to function is they want them to all take place in the same universe, kind of like the Marvel universe. So they want all their games to take place in the same universe. And as you're playing Control, you obviously are in their bureau building and you get to pick up their files as you play the game, kind of similar to Quantum Break. Remember how you'd pick up the files and you would read them to kind of get more of the story?
Right.
Well, as you pick up these files, they talk about things that they have found all over the United States, objects and events that have occurred. And Alan Wake comes up in some of these documents. And basically, it hasn't been like, I'm not giving you any of the main game story at all. But when you read these documents, you find out that agents from the Bureau were dispatched to basically go to the lake where the Alan Wake incident occurred. And they actually talk about how whatever happened there was a altered world event. In other words, it was such an event that it actually altered the world around them. So they have already been kind of planting those seeds into the main game as you play it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there's a description here of Expansion Pack 2, AWE. The Bureau studied its most dangerous alter world events in this lost sector. The records were sealed, the objects contained, and their powers abandoned. Now the sector is breached and the objects are loose. AWE brings new story content and side missions, as well as new weapons and mods in the world of Control. So, I mean, that sounds pretty suggestive right there. I mean,
I already bet you like one of the objects that they're going to bring into is the typewriter that he used in the game.
That'd be cool.
Because that's the way it works is when you, in their world, when you have that's what creates an object of power, is when you have somebody putting so much energy into the object that they're using. When you read the files on these objects, like there's a rubber duck in that game that gave me hell, and it's because basically an incident occurred and the energies from that incident binded themselves to that object. And I already know from the way it's described, that probably Alan Wake's typewriter is going to come into play into this expansion.
Ooh, like
Well,
I'm an
have to
Alan
say
Wake
they are
fanatic. I love it.
right.
Oh, go
I
ahead,
have to
Tim.
say that no, I just wanted to say that they are the kings of storytelling, and unfortunately, I don't know if you guys saw it didn't chart in the top 20 in MPD, which it did come out the 30th, the last day, but if this type of game, especially going on three platforms or two platforms in PC, really should have charted. So I was kind of disappointed in that. But as Centurion points out, that's one of the reasons why they're one of my favorite developers. They are the type of developer that they put things in games and they let you discover them, and when you discover them, for me it's always kind of like a special experience, whether it would be the shows that they showed, the springs or the outer springs or whatever it was called, the alluding to the former games or characters, the little things that you read, the things that they put in there are just awesome. It's just a shame that people really, aren't, seem to be buying their games, because Quantum Break seemed to sell well and this didn't seem to sell well. But maybe that'll change. But overall, I have to say though, they are the kings of storytellers, and if you do like games that are in depth and you want to play a game that you're going to take some time and read and actually give it a shot, these guys are great, and I cannot wait to get into Control after Gears.
Hmm. And it's interesting too, because just a little while ago, like maybe a month or a little more than that, it was announced that Remedy had got back the publishing rights for Alan Wake, and many people were wondering when we're going to hear more about Alan Wake, and if we're going to see some kind of a sequel come, a proper one. And it's just interesting that they're doing this with Control and incorporating the world, because Remedy are just fantastic storytellers. And it's a shame, like you guys were saying, Centurion and Tim Dog, that their game just charted so underwhelming, because they're fantastic. They make quality games. I loved Quantum Break, but unfortunately, it didn't perform the way that they wanted it to. So,
Now, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but it just dawned on me. I feel like the bugs and glitches in Control were way worse than what was going on in Borderlands. Because there's times where you would have to go, like, the map system in that game sucks already. And when you would bring up the map and it wouldn't show you the map, the only thing you would see is your icon and the words to the rooms. Like, you wouldn't actually see the hallways or anything. It would just be basically invisible. You'd have to like open and close the map 3 or 4 times to get it to appear. Menu icons wouldn't load. And also their graphics engine, it's really cool. The ability to rip a chunk of concrete off the wall and literally charge it up and throw it at somebody with like devastating effect is awesome. But also at the same time, that graphics engine, I've had carts end up over my character like a game of ring toss, and you're like running around trying to jump out of the cart because the cart is like over your character and you're trying to get out of it because of the game physics. I've also had like cardboard boxes stick to me and you're trying to jump out of them. So, and the funny part is I actually got that stuff on my DVR recorded. And when I do my Control review, I'm actually going to show it. It wasn't like game breaking, but it was annoying at the same time, because now you're running around with a cardboard box underneath you.
Wow.
oh man,
Wasn't there an update? Didn't they patch that recently though, or was this before or after? I thought there was a some type of a patch or something.
I don't know, because like the cardboard box only happened to me twice and the cart thing only happened to me once, so it wasn't like repetitive, but it was just still one of those things where it's like you're dealing with a new kind of destruction engine, and so you're kind of not used to the kind of glitches that could kind of come with it, and it was few and far between. It was actually hilarious But after about 30 seconds of laughing at it, you're like, okay, now I got to get this thing off, and now you're trying to hop around and stuff and get out of it.
Wow.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Kima in the chat here is asking, have you discussed the Microsoft and Disney partnership? Now, do you guys know what he's talking about?
No.
I saw
Fill
something.
us
I don't
in.
remember exactly what that was.
Let me Google it.
Now,
Send him a link.
apparently, Disney Studios and Microsoft have announced a 5-year partnership to create, produce, and distribute content on Microsoft Azure. So that's a pretty big deal right there.
Oh, they're probably just going to be like Sony, where they're putting their streaming service on Azure. It just, if you're running a streaming service, you'd be silly not to look at Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. Well, like NLG Gaming is saying, Disney's using Azure for streaming, which is very, it makes sense, right? Because Azure is a very strong platform. If Sony's using it for going forward, many other big companies are going to pick up on that too.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. It is Azure. It's a 5-year deal,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to pretty much use the cloud. They're going to use Azure.
Yeah, but that's a great pickup for Microsoft, though. I mean, obviously, other companies are just buying into it. They're buying into their the cloud-based technology. So, kudos to them for doing that. I mean, really, there's no negative to that. That's just more business going into the cloud and Azure, and really just keeping Microsoft's business afloat. I mean, people forget that Azure is probably making the biggest bucks now for Microsoft. So no, that's
it's huge.
It's absolutely massive the way the shift has gone in terms of how they do business.
Yeah, well, even when you have, even when you have Sony, their biggest competitor, I guess, the video games. If you consider, what they're doing with consoles and stuff like that, when they're coming to Xbox and they're saying, hey, we want to use your cloud, it says a lot. It goes to show you, because Sony in a million years doesn't want to do that, but they realize, they look at the landscape and they realize, that they're going to need a cloud. For their game, do the things that xCloud's doing, because that's just the way things are going. But yeah, Microsoft's in such a strong position with Azure. You go from being a company that's doing operating systems for computers, and you think that would last until the end of time, but obviously things change, and they tried the phone, and they tried to get into the cell phone business, but then they struck gold with with Satya and the push for the cloud. They were a little ahead of their time at that time, and now they're paying dividends.
Absolutely.
Waiting for Nintendo maybe to jump on board too. They haven't said anything yet on what they were going to do.
I've heard that is something.
No.
No, I heard that's something that could possibly happen. When the whole thing with Sony came down, I remember talking to a couple of people, and kind of people said, "Oh, well, maybe we're not even done yet." So possibly, I'm sure Nintendo and obviously Sony, realize that you're gonna have a cloud solution. It's just to go into next gen and to think that you could just go the way we've been gaming since 2006. Yeah, in theory, it's pretty cool, but things move on. Things come and it's a plan. And, the cloud is the future. People are gonna, they're gonna kick up a device and play a video game and play it within seconds.
Yeah, game like Destiny 2, crossplay, Xbox,
Exactly.
PlayStation. They announced that just one big bomb right there, just like. And while we're at it, Nintendo's on board, Sony's on board, Microsoft's on board. We're all playing on devices. So it doesn't matter how powerful. Yeah, even the Stadia. Hey, it's going to be a multi-plat. They'll keep it a multi-plat.
No doubt.
They're a little bit closer now. Maybe they can get rights to KOTOR, have Obsidian work on a new one. It would be sick.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be fantastic. I mean, who knows what Obsidian has, going on behind the
check it out.
scenes. But that would be cool if they could work out a deal with Disney for that. But Shock, before we move on, going back to Alan Wake, did you have anything to add to that? With Control, is that something that you'd be interested in playing at all?
Yeah, that'd probably get me to check out Control probably a little bit more, because I played all the original Alan Wake and the DLC and all that, so it was pretty sick back in the day. So that would be pretty cool. I haven't checked out Control to see how that plays though, but.
All right, very nice. Yeah, no, I'm a huge Alan Wake fan, and I'm a huge Remedy fan as well. And I honestly, I need to get onto the Control train, and there's been so many games recently. You can't blame somebody for not picking up a couple, but I will get to it soon, especially now that I've heard about this DLC that was announced. But let's see here, guys. Moving on, and recently Capcom has revealed a new Resident Evil game with Project Resistance. Now, the concept, it's a 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer game using the RE engine, which, as you know, based on the last couple of Resident Evil games, it is one heck of a beautiful engine. And the game casts one player as the so-called mastermind. So basically, the purpose of this player is to prevent the 4 survivors from escaping. And the mastermind, this person can summon zombies, lickers, and a whole variety of like baddies. And as well, they can set traps and manipulate the environment. So a lot of cool stuff going on there. And it sounds like a cool concept altogether. So panel, now this sounds like a pretty cool experience to me. And it's definitely a different take on Resident Evil. What do you guys think about this game? Does the concept sound cool to you? Are you guys Resident Evil fans? And would you be interested in picking this one up?
Fable Legends a little bit. Remember when they had the, you'd set up to go up against your other counterparts. I don't know. I don't know if I like the way that sounds. I'm a Resident Evil fan, and I absolutely love. It was my game of the year, Resident Evil 7. I think in 2017 when it came out, or 16, one of those years. But I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil, and I just kind of just really want that type of experience. And 7 kind of just moved over to 8. You know what I mean? Like I don't like the sound of what I just heard. I mean, it could be cool. I guess I got to see it, but for me, I just kind of like the traditional, exactly what Resident 7 was. Just another story, more graphics, more, that type of setup. You can't go wrong. So I don't, for me, I don't like the sound of that, what I just heard, but I'm willing to give it a shot. But hopefully it maybe turns out. Maybe we get some more information, more understand, like you can understand it more. But for me, I kind of just like the way the traditional Resident Evils run.
It's funny you mentioned Fable Legends too, because that's immediately what popped into my head. You have this one person who, is the person like setting up all the baddies and like, is directing all the AI.
There was another game though too that didn't do well. I can't remember the name of it. Where I guess it was 4v1, and I guess you played this large. What was it?
Yeah, I know.
Evolve. So it didn't do well.
Yeah, that's the one. That one really. That Microsoft had I believe a marketing deal with Evolve.
Yeah,
and that did not turn out very well.
That shit the bed. That was supposed to be their big marketing deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was supposed to be the next Left 4 Dead, right? And it just did not work. Like, it just did not work as intended, apparently. And nobody really bought into it, which is unfortunate. But, I mean, this is a pretty big IP when you talk about Resident Evil here. It has, a big name attached to it. And while, I am cautious going into it, but just the trailer kind of caught my eye. Centurion, do you like any of the Resident Evil games, and is this something that would catch your eye at all?
I'm a Resident Evil fan. Let's get that forward. I enjoyed playing Resident Evil 2 back in the day. I have still yet to play their remake of the game. I actually own it. I just haven't played it yet. It's in my backlog. But this game, it definitely looks like it has a heavy multiplayer influence. And the only thing that I have against games that are very Gears is a game that was designed to work with people that don't know each other. Certain multiplayer games, though, work way better with friends. And what works in a workplace amongst coworkers that sit around and play the games with themselves doesn't work when you have random people playing these games. And like Tim Dog said, when it comes to the person who's setting up, the zombies and the liquors and stuff, it gives, let's just point it out, man. In a lot of multiplayer games, there's people that learn how to be toxic in them very quickly. Look at Rainbow Six Siege. I enjoyed playing that game up and down with my friends, but there was still people constantly that figured out how to, get shots off at the spawn points. They would figure out where they could glitch through walls. They would just do what they could to do anything to kind of mess with the actual mechanics of the game. So when you kind of have somebody that's in control of a situation like that, it could potentially end up becoming not fun for the people on the receiving end. That's my only trepidation with games that kind of give a lot of control to one person.
Yeah, it's trying to balance that out is definitely key, and it does seem like the survivors in this game will have some abilities. Like one's gonna have strong melee abilities, the other's gonna be more of a healing character, and so on. So it's gonna be a co-op really team focused thing where you have to try and get through it together.
That's the fun part to me, that team aspect. Being the bad guy and then that one person is just kind of, I don't know. I don't like the feeling of being ganged up on. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I just
evolve.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know.
Well,
has there ever been a success with this game type? It's like what Shizno Elite says that there's great games to play for the devs to play.
Let's think about real quick, Friday, real quick, Tim. Friday the 13th. Isn't that kind of the same thing in a sense? You think or no?
Yeah, you play as Jason. Yeah, that's a good point. That had some relative success.
Oh yeah, and then there's going to be that Predator game coming out soon too, which is similar.
I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I don't think it's been done well. But I think if somebody there's been instances of it having a little success, as Megatron pointed out with Friday the 13th. But yeah, there hasn't been a div that's really knocked it out of the park to make it successful. But I do think there's something there. I don't know if it's going to happen with Resident Evil Project Resistance. I think it's an interesting concept. Definitely a separate entity from the mainstay in the series, but I would like to see where they go with this. I think it's very interesting. Everybody keeps bringing up Fable Legends, and it's a shame what happened with Fable Legends too, but because obviously Lionhead had worked really hard on it for it to not come out. But were any of you guys in the beta for that by chance?
Yeah, I was in the beta.
Yeah, I was in it too, and it was a beautiful game, and I definitely got around to playing it, and I don't know, it was a different experience, but I had fun with it. It definitely has instances where I was like, yeah, you know what, I wouldn't mind playing this.
Well, I remember one time I was actually playing with Phil, and I kind of asked Phil, I said, "What do you think of the game?" And I could tell he's like, "Well, you need some more time," and animations need to be worked on, this and that, and this was before obviously it got canned. But yeah, I mean, they gave a lot of time to that game, and um, going back, I mean, listen, when that game was canceled, we all hated it. I think that the whole concept from the beginning was failed concept, and they should have been working on a traditional Fable 4. I just listen, when you have a great IP like Resident Evil or Fable or whatever, I just don't think to venture out with these type of games. Just kind of like stick to what made you great. I'm just a traditionalist in that sense. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm a Resident Evil fan, and this thing sounds like like who's gonna want to be that guy that sets up everything. I don't know. I guess in theory, you could say it sounds cool, but in actuality, when I did play like Friday the 13th and those games, you never wanted to be that guy. You always wanted to always be one of the other people.
One of the campers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You never wanted to be Jason. I mean, maybe somebody did, but like I said, I don't know. I have serious trepidation going into this Resident Evil, and maybe who knows? Maybe it's a smaller type game, and there, it's not what we think it is. But I just would rather hearing about a Resident Evil 8 in a different world, or in a different setting, or even a continued setting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, again, it's interesting. We'll see how it plays out. We'll definitely learn more in the weeks to come. I think they have more to show for Tokyo Game Show coming up soon. So, well, we'll be seeing more gameplay from that. Moving on, fellas. We're getting towards the end of the show, but before we head out, let's talk about what we've been playing and what games have been eating up your time for the past week. Let's start with you, Megatron. What have you been playing the past week?
Well, I'm going to say Gears. Right? It's just been Gears in the campaign. I just delved into the multiplayer aspect. I posted the one video on Twitter, but just Gears. That's it. I may want to touch into Sea of Thieves and Alan Wake because, admittedly, that game has been in my backlog since it came out. Unfortunately, but that's it. That's what I've been playing. Gears.
All right, very good, very good. Shockley, what have you been playing the past week? What have you been going back and forth with?
Yeah, same with the Gears, definitely. As I just dropped Devil May Cry a little bit since I just entered Game Pass. Missed that back in early January, February. And I went back and checked out I have that PT demo on my PS4 with all the Kojima stuff going on. So went through that a little bit, but yeah, that's about it.
All right. Actually, speaking about Kojima guys, and there's been some Death Stranding footage.
That's right. We haven't talked about.
Well, I wasn't sure if we get time to talk about, but since it got brought up, you know what? Let's kind of bring this up a bit since we're talking. So there's been new gameplay, lots of gameplay actually shown for Death Stranding, and there's been a lot of people still questioning as to what you actually do in the game still to this day. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen in the chat the gameplay that has been shown, but it just looks very, how do I say, bland. Tim Dog, have you seen the footage?
Yeah, I've actually I have a better understanding of I pretty much watched all of it. Yeah, I watched it. I listened to some of the things that they were talking about. Like I watched that, I think it was an 11-minute trailer that they showed behind closed doors where you kind of find out about the Strand and what what they're trying to do with these packages, and it's a post-apocalypse, world, and they're trying to, I kind of got a better understanding of the game as far as what I've seen from the game. Listen, I don't like the way I don't like the way the game looks. It looks boring. It looks tedious. But
It,
that goes to say that maybe I'm not getting the full story. But I don't like I can't see this game, um, you know, being a 95 Metacritic smash hit. That's my personal feeling on it. I think it'll be around the 80, 82, but I could be wrong. I just from what I've seen, I haven't been impressed at all.
Fozzie is what's up, Fozzie? He's like 45 minutes in, and you're like, still, what the heck's going on in the game? And he's a post-apocalyptic pizza delivery guy. I hope it's bad. Kojima's always been weird with the storytelling and everything, so I think people need to remember that. But the game, I mean, to shut people up, the game's got to be good. As far as what I've seen, it doesn't look that interesting to me at all. But the game still looks good, so it's kind of a wait and see kind of a thing. I mean, I think he's purposely not really showing everybody, like he said. He doesn't want to show people the story yet. I guess he's trying to keep it like under wraps until the day of. I don't know. I got the collector's edition on pre-order, by the way, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. And I don't have a PlayStation. I don't know. I don't know. It's Death Stranding for now.
Well, it's
question
pretty.
marks.
It's pretty bad when like you've shown so much gameplay and people are still confused about what the product is, because all people are seeing are these segments where you're just kind of walking around and okay, you might steal a vehicle here and there, but just like you have like some packages on your back, or like you got this little thing trailing. Oh, okay, they showed a hoverboard, but still it's just like, ooh, it's like we're not seeing a lot of really key interesting moments or gameplay shown that really gets people excited for the game. I think people are still wanting to see that giant that really drives me to go out and pre-order Death Stranding. I just haven't seen that moment. Like, I'm sure like there's some kind of interesting like plot there. I'm not seeing it. Like I want in a way I want this game to be good. It's just I'm not drawn to it at all. Like it's it's like the comment in the chat here, it's artsy. It's an artsy game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
It just better be good, because if not, it may be his last game. I hope it's a good game for the people that are fans of Kojima. I don't want to really knock it yet, but it's just, you want to shut people up, you got to put that good game out. And if it's going to be a bad game, you're going to hear about it all over social media. So.
Well, okay, it's like I don't want to knock it, but at the same time, it's like, for a PlayStation exclusive game, that's your big exclusive coming out this holiday season, and people are still confused about it. It has no multiplayer components, as far as I know. It's just the single player story, and people still just don't know what it's about. It's just post-apocalyptic. That's all it is.
I don't know if it's true or not. I saw something on Twitter today. I guess if you stare at his crotch, he too many times he gets up and starts punching you, or the camera itself, or something like that. Like, it's funny. He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But I wonder what the budget is on that game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm assuming Sony threw a whole wad of money his way. It's like, make us some gold. They're probably, make us some, whatever.
I feel like it's not going to be as big as like God of War, Horizon, just because it's a weird genre game. So when your casuals are like shopping at the store, like it's not like God of War, like, oh yeah, I know that, or Spider-Man. It's like, what is this? There's a baby on the back, and it's like,
also, I think the gameplay that they've shown, you know, the cutscenes honestly are beautiful, and I have to give him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give that engine a lot of credit, but the gameplay that I've seen, just hasn't looked good. It hasn't looked fluid. You know, there's spots where like you're running away from these guards and you're trying to like you throw like a briefcase at them. It just doesn't look fluid. It just doesn't look. It just doesn't look like something
Briefcase.
that. Yeah, it just doesn't look like something that of the pedigree Sony's been pushing out, the type of games that they've been putting out. It's just not. It's just not on that level. And I think that you have a lot of people that are Kojima fans. And let me get even if this game bombs, it doesn't take away from his legacy. He's still a tremendous developer and one of an all-time great. But sometimes, you know, you have some misses. I mean, musicians have that all the time where they've made music and then they make an album and it you know, they tried something different and it wasn't, you know, what they expected it and it didn't do so well. For me, like I said, like if we're being honest here, there are issues here. There are to say that you don't the game looks interesting to you or it looks boring. It's not being a fanboy or anything. It's just honestly, that's just an honest opinion. If this was coming to I would be like the same. I'd be like, I don't, you know, I'm not really digging what I see. You know, when I've seen Horizon and when I saw Spider-Man and when I all the games that Sony's pushed out, I'm like, wow, well, those games are freaking killer. Those games are gonna just destroy.
All of those you saw like
But-
2 seconds of it anyway. You wanted to play it.
Right, exactly. But this
Absolutely.
game, like, how many times over are we going to see different things and try to come up with why we like it? Like, this sometimes just comes to a point where it's just, it doesn't appeal to you. I mean, maybe it appeals to some people. Maybe some of that stuff is funny. I mean, I could see some of the stuff being a little silly and funny. But just overall, like, just walking through the landscapes on hours, you know, like when I watched it, I was like, I had to fast forward it. I was like, I can't
Mhm.
just, you know, see him. I mean, you could get a hoverboard, it looks like, and fast travel a little bit better. But, you know, from what I
But
saw,
Jeff
it was
Keighley's
really
Jeff
kind of.
Keighley's in the game, so that's automatic a 9.0
Yeah.
right there.
Like
But, you
a
know-
lot of people are saying that it's going to get a 95 Metacritic. I just can't see that. Like, I understand that he's respected. I think that if it gets an 83, that's pretty high. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
respectable. But, you know, 95.
I'm trying to think though. All his games that have come out have been like in the 90s. I may be wrong, but I
Metal Gear
want to.
Solid 5, although it wasn't finished.
What was that?
It's like Metal Gear Solid 5, although it wasn't finished. I'm not sure that's probably the lower one.
Mhm.
Metal Gear, the series
Mhm.
Metal Gear, which was a great series. And, you know, you look at some of those games and you can understand why it was successful. I mean, yeah, they look great. Metal Gear Solid was, you know, it was, you know, an all-time great. But this doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have that feel. It just looks like it's like I said. I when it comes out, I guess we'll find out. But if it get 90s and it's critically acclaimed, then I'll be the first to admit that I just didn't see it. But you know, congratulations. But I just
kinda
don't
want
see
the-
it right now.
I want the game to be good. I want developers to be like different and creative, and not be hampered by like
Mhm.
outside like social media. But I just hope that it's not that crazy where it's just a bad game. I'm really like that last thing at TGS Tokyo Game Show. I really kind of discouraged me, but I'm still crossing my fingers and hoping that the game's a good game. And I
Mhm.
don't know. I'm
All right,
just a little
I'm-
confused. I'm confused. Like I don't know what the hell's going on in this game. He's got something coming out of his back that this little light thing, and the
Ass
hoverboard.
ladder.
I just hope it's good.
I'm ready to kind of hop in on this. I was kind of waiting for everybody to say their piece. This game was made and brought to you part by Amazon. This is how they're going to test for new employees. Nah, I'm playing. So they want to make sure that you can actually keep up with your quota and distinguish between 2-day prime and standard shipping. Anyways, no. Before I say what I'm about to say, I'm going to say like this. Kojima, he's trying to create an artistic vision that's probably not going to be realized right away. Probably further down the line, people are going to look back on this game and be like, "Oh my God, that game was ahead of its time." But
there's your RT aspect. It's one of
yeah,
those things
like I've said it in a couple shows. Look at Picasso. When that guy was creating paintings when he was alive, people thought he was nuts and out of his mind and that he wouldn't amount to anything. Fast forward, look at it now. His stuff sells for, obscene amounts of money.
And I get the feeling that there's going to be like some like big messaging that we're just totally missing here, like these underlying tones and themes that we're not going to pick up on until like well after, right?
Oh, definitely. But the one thing I am wanting to point out right now, a recent release on Xbox was deemed by a couple reviewers as being empty. I really hope these same reviewers stick to their guns when this game comes out and it's built on the same engine as Horizon Zero Dawn. In Horizon Zero Dawn, you couldn't walk a couple feet without having a robot trying to take you out, or some kind of thing in the environment that was interactive. These environments just look like wide open spaces with barely anything, shall I say, other than plants and grass and just general geographic stuff of the game. There's no animals, there's no wildlife, there's really not many elements there. And for being built on that same engine, it's kind of surprising. And the other part of this is, could you imagine right now, Gamescom, Rod Ferguson walks out, stands next to Jeff Keighley, and, roll that footage, and you just see Del and Kate driving around on the skiff, JD and Foz just walking around and rubble, no action really going on. Hell, you don't even know if they got a gun or not. Yeah. If Microsoft was to do a game like this, people would be poking fun at it and making GIFs all day long, going, "This is what Microsoft gets. They spent all this money on all these studios, and this is what all you dumbasses are going to get." But if Sony does this, oh my God, it's visionary. It's just going to change the way games are done. And, and it's just like, okay, this has got to stop. If you're going to say this about one platform, don't hold another platform to a different standard. I'm not trying to act like a fanboy, but at the same time, lately it is getting kind of old and passé on, it's okay for the company to do A, but it's not okay for this company to do A. It's just completely out of control at this point. From what I have seen,
double standard.
It is a double standard. I'm not going to be the guy out there that says it, but it is starting to seem like
if this was Xbox, forget it.
Oh yeah,
let's be honest.
On Salty's show on Thursday, I won't.
There'd already be a Metacritic out for it of like 3.0 if it was Xbox. So
on Salty's show on Thursday, he actually Salty for starters tweeted out to Jeff Keighley and said, "Hey, have you already put Kojima's name on the award for Game of the Year?" And the guy he answered back saying that I don't get to vote on the games, and it's like, dude, you own the Game Awards, so please don't be trying to blow smoke at this point. And then on top of that, that's right. On Salty's show, there was a guy in the chat. I won't name him, but he actually said in the chat that he was a Sony pony. And the funny part is he actually talked to us in the chat and agreed that if this was an Xbox game, he would be tearing it down.
Yeah.
But, but the thing, he already came out in the chat and also said that Death Stranding is not his cup of tea. And so therefore it to him, the game is never was. But, it's just one of those things where even people in the Sony community are starting to admit, like, dude, if this was on Xbox, I would be tearing it down all day long. So it's starting to get very interesting that Kojima has literally shown more footage than Gears 5 has shown its entire existence so far. and still nobody knows what this game is about. But heaven forbid that, we don't show a Gears 5 gameplay video at E3, and next thing you know, everybody's being held to this high standard of, we got to know what the game's going to be about. How do we know what we're getting?
Yeah, it was so sad. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see.
Not trying to rant.
No, it's okay. It'll be
No, it's a good
interesting to
rant.
see, though, like how if we'll see anything else, like any other more footage, like come, let's say, Tokyo Game Show for Death Stranding. Again, I want to understand this game, and I want to see whatever messaging that Kojima has for it, but man, it's just...
If I can ask you one question, did you see the tweet Kojima put out saying that he doesn't even know what the game is about?
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did.
Do you think he's serious, or do you think he's screwing with people?
Trolling, maybe?
Some people are saying he's trolling. Other people think that he just basically is throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and just going to see what sticks.
I mean, how does Sony feel about that? I mean, they're paying for this stuff.
Someone said it was more.
Like, could you imagine? Hey, I'm gonna come and design your kitchen, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But
could you imagine Rod Ferguson standing on stage going, "I really don't know what the hell Gears 5 is about, but here it is."
Well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt here, and just let's just say he actually knows what the concept is. Just maybe, I don't know, maybe further along the way he added in a few things. Like, that's what my hope would be anyways, because to just come out and say that, and you're a huge big name dev and your game is being published by publisher and console manufacturer Sony, that it just doesn't sound very good.
I'm gonna say, if you're saying things were added in and that's why he's doing that, the peeing thing better be an add-in, because if that was a day one thing on the drawing board, if I was in that room, I'd be like, oh my god, this game is just gonna be whacked.
I heard about that. What is that about? What's the peeing thing?
You can pee.
You can pee.
You can pee.
And if you get all your friends together and pee in the same spot, something special happens. So says the dude at Gamescom. That was exactly what was said. Something special will happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, for the record, though, we're joking. I mean, it's fun to poke, but for me, I do wish I want the game to be successful. Honestly, I really do. I never really want to wish anything bad on the game. I just hope it is what, the anticipation for this game is through the roof. I don't know why. For me, it was the graphics and the actors that they have in the game, and nothing to do with Jeff Keighley, of course, though. But I just hope that it's the expectations are met. And I guess they did announce too that it was a story mode where you don't even do it. I guess you just push play or something. I think there was a setting where you just play the story itself, and there's no kind of interaction with anything. Have you guys heard about that, or am I off? Yes, no.
I am not
100% sure about that, to be honest. I'd have to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the indie gamers said, it's bananas. This game is far out of left field.
Megatron hasn't seen the peeing thing.
I don't think he wants to.
Dude, go on, look it up. Hideo Kojima showed up at Gamescom with 3 pieces of footage. One to culminate the love child between Jeff Keighley and Kojima, and another one was to show the storyline, and the third one, for some reason, was to really emphasize the peeing mechanic in the game, and that if you try to look at oh my god, what's the main character's name? The guy who plays him, anyways, the guy from The Walking Dead. Daryl. Just call him Daryl. Norman
Reedus, yeah.
Yeah, if you try to turn Hideo Kojima wanted you to know, if you try to turn the camera to see his his manhood, the character will keep turning his back to the camera. They basically put it in there to where you can't do that. But yeah, and then while he was peeing, they showed the arc, how far you can arc it, and then while he was peeing, a magic mushroom grew. I'm not making this up, dude. A magic mushroom grew out of the ground while he was peeing.
That's funny, man. Did you eat it next? I guess quirky. I guess, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to. Like honestly, because like a lot of the comments, like don't get me wrong, I believe it sounds like trolling. That's how bad it is.
Mhm.
But it's interesting to talk about Death Stranding though, and well, again, we'll see if there's any more footage to come. I just hope that things get clearer before the November release date. But it's
And you
shaping
think
up.
it's a possibility that it'll get delayed at all? Slightest?
No,
No.
I don't.
Full
I,
steam ahead.
well, I
Oh,
just
dude, if it got delayed, that would mean that Sony only got one exclusive this year because would they really release it in December?
if it does get delayed, that's a big blow for them, in my opinion, because then they haven't shown like anything all like this quarter, really. That was their big game. So, but moving on, guys, since that just kind of came up randomly. But Centurion, what have you been playing recently? What kind of games have been on your docket?
Well, I finally wanted to finish grinding out Control because I don't like doing game reviews on games I haven't put a lot of time into. And yeah, I finally completed that one, was able to get a gamer score of 860 out of 1,000. So I feel like I really put a lot of work into that one.
Nice.
Now I'm trying to grind out Gears 5. But in between Gears 5, I find myself playing on Elder Scrolls Online with some close family members of mine. So those are pretty much the titles I've been kind of playing since last show.
All right, very nice. And
It's quiet when I say Elder Scrolls Online.
What?
yeah, actually, yeah, that's right. I've been seeing you playing it a lot. You're obsessed with that game.
I wouldn't say obsessed. It's kind of like Sea of Thieves. You always come back. There's something new going on. There's always something to do. It's the only MMO that's ever sucked me in like that. And a friend of mine exposed me to it. And I know it's a passe game for a lot of people, but it's definitely got a lot there. Like you could know everything in the game and it would still take you months just to even get through the main story, let alone doing DLCs and expansions and other stuff. Like it's got something to do constantly.
Sorry, a funny comment in the chat by Abacab if you guys want to take a look at that. But but yeah, no, you know what? I really got to get on Control though. That I got to pick up that game. As far as the games that I've been playing recently, I've been going back and forth between a couple. Obviously, Gears 5. I've been slowly working my way through that. Actually, I picked up a new release for my Nintendo Switch, Daemon X Machina. It's kind of it's a mech game, an action mech game that kind of reminds you of those classic anime mech cartoons, animes, and it's just it's a lot of fun so far. It's very fast paced, a lot of action. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. And I've also downloaded a game that was in Game Pass, recently came out on a bunch of platforms, including Xbox. Creature in the Well. It's this little indie game, and you know what? I wasn't expecting very much, but I've been having a lot of fun with it so far. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's definitely like it's like an artsy game with like I don't know. It's a cool game. It's a really cool game. I definitely suggest people pick it up if you have a little bit of spare time on your hands. And just to let everyone know, it looks like Tim has left. I'm not sure if he was having some trouble getting back in, but it looks like Tim is out. But on that note, and after a very lively discussion, guys, this show is now coming to an end. And honestly, some very good points from the panel tonight. Lots of really good points. And also a big shout out and thank you to everyone that joined us here tonight. Lots of love and passion in the chat. Love the dialogue that was going on. And we always appreciate everyone that shows up for our show. Definitely share this out, guys. Share the link and give it a like before you leave. And honestly, and just show everyone out there that you love listening to the Green Machine, the Emerald Crew that is TXR Podcast. So again, thank you everybody that came out. You've been rocking with us all night. Thank you very much. to all our listeners. Now let's get on with some outros here. Megatron, awesome talk tonight. Where can everyone follow you, my Decepticon buddy?
Well, you can follow me as always on Twitter, Megatron_1975, and you can find me on Gears tonight. So I need that help. I see you, Fozzie. If you want to play the campaign, jump in. Thanks everybody for coming through.
All right,
chat.
all right. Centurion, my friend. Oh, you know what? Believe it or not, I almost called you Centaurian off the top of my tongue, unfortunately. Very easy.
Names.
Yeah, you know, that's going to come up a lot, unfortunately. Where can people find you, buddy?
Well, you can find me every day on Twitter and YouTube at Centurion1307. You can find me every Sunday right here with you guys kicking it on TXR. But I am also on Saltiest Gaming Podcast on Thursdays and the Shop Podcast on Saturdays. And as long as everything goes according to plan, because I got to do some work tomorrow, I'm hoping to be on Wilmy Hood's Gaming Outside the Box podcast tomorrow.
Nice.
All
I'll be
right.
listening.
Definitely got to catch that. Shockley, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Yeah, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter and Easy Shock on Xbox Live and PSN.
All right. That's awesome. And yeah, unfortunately, Southbound couldn't make it tonight. He was working, and Tim Dog dropped out. But again, thank you everyone for coming. Of course, my name is Invader. You can catch me on YouTube, Invader Gaming. That's my channel. And I'm pretty active on Twitter. You guys can find me at Invader_1986. And yeah, it's been a great show, guys. Very lively. The chat has been awesome. I cannot say that enough. And hey, we'll catch you next Sunday, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. And we hope to continue the awesomeness then. Catch you later, guys.
Peace.
Later.